The picture we get is of a little girl being beaten by her father. He kept saying that the other children had been paid for a long time and they had finally stopped harnessing and she was 15 years old and still hadn't been picked up. He threw the poor girl in the closet. She thought her beautiful dream that she had had was real. She offered to listen to her dream. What she saw then was indeed like a dream. In this dream an aristocrat decided to take her away and afterwards she went with him to a big and marvelous house. Now she hoped it was just a miracle. One day ago the guys were riding in a carriage. It seemed to the girl that there was something wrong here, why she was riding in the same carriage with a high-ranking man. The guy told the girl to make herself comfortable and not to get so worked up. The girl actually had to leave the orphanage so abruptly that she was still worried and now she was traveling with such a high-ranking person in the same carriage. When she was 15, no one could take her, but now some grateful man has picked her up. The girl asked the man if he was her parents now, to which he replied positively. She will get full support because now the guy and her foster parents also the girl will get the family name Elkidonia. The girl did not know about the surname. The guy was surprised. He asked her if she knew there was a war. She remembered it was the war of the empire against a pseudo-religious organization called Collegio. She had heard that the Collegio organization had an incredibly dangerous villain who led it. And the battle against him was incredibly hard. The war ended with a very strong imperial knight bravely defeating the villain. He had blonde hair and also golden-colored eyes, but despite his good looks he was a formidable knight. As it turned out this formidable knight was a guy, and his name is Julius Elkidonia. The butler was just in shock. He could not believe that Julius decided to become a foster parent and not to make it all but a show. The guy replied that it would be alright, especially he took a girl, because he has no native children. After the war, the number of orphans increased very much. After that, the nobility began to actively take these orphans to themselves. Of course they fed, trained and educated these children. But in fact they were on a par with pets, but the secular society it looked like a noble act of a good aristocrat. Could it be that Mr. Julius wanted to do the same? The butler approached the girl to ask her name. She introduced herself as Miss Peppermint. The butler asked the girl if she had any connection to the Duke and why he chose her. She didn't seem to know. She should take a bath first. After that she could continue the conversation. Mint's personal maid, named Carrion. She will help the girl bathe. The girl was very embarrassed. She thought she stinks a lot. When the woman took some of the clothes off the girl's back she saw her bruises. When the girl bathed she was brought hot chocolate. And really liked the taste of the drink. She never thought she could taste something so delicious. Is this really true or another dream she had at the orphanage? If it is a dream, she doesn't want to wake up. She doesn't want to wake up at all. She wants to have time to drink as much of this drink as possible. Julius found out that the girl had bruises and burst into the room. The girl thought she did something wrong, so she fell on her knees to apologize. She blamed on herself that even in her dreams, she makes mistakes and should apologize properly. She was asked to stand up and never do it again. She will get the family name of Elkidonia, so she doesn't need to apologize if she just stained the carpet. The girl didn't believe until the last moment that she could join such a beautiful family. When she was at the shelter no one would even look in her direction. She thought maybe the guy would leave her when he was disappointed. She doesn't want to talk about it. Let's face it, I don't think the guy was trying to take her. And it is unlikely that she will stay here for long, even if she wants to, because she is worthless and absolutely good for nothing. If she is worthless, she hardly deserves to be treated well and loved. The guy is probably testing her, and if she makes a mistake, he will throw out why she was born on black. A few years ago. The guy was standing wounded on one knee saw the same girl in which asked why she didn't kill him. A lot of people said that she had bad skin. It was unlikely that a woman would be able to profit from her. She grew up in terrible conditions. Another person said that even if he wanted to, he could hardly use her. She was useless. Another man said that her hair color was disgusting. If he took a child with such hair he would be laughed at. Julius was looking for a child and ordered to bring one to him. When he saw it he chose this child. He asked the girl if he had made the wrong choice for her. The butler said that the lord reacted too harshly. The child would only get more frightened. Well, he would go and get ready and bring the documents. As much as the girl doesn't want to, she is hardly worthy to be here. Well, she asked not to send her back please. She wants to stay here very much. She can mop the floor well. Julius didn't believe the girl because she has a weak body and fragile hands. He doesn't think she will be able to hold a mop, let alone mop and clean. She needs to calm down. She can be useful. You just have to say it. Also her heart can't stop beating like crazy. It's too loud and it feels like it's about to come out of the others. Julius told the girl that if she wanted to say something to the person she was talking to, she should always look him in the eyes. She looked him in the eyes with confidence and told him that she could do anything. She would not make him any trouble. She will definitely be able to do whatever he orders, well said, assured the guy. But unfortunately she can't do the job even if she wanted to because she doesn't have to do it, Carrion, the guy called her. The girl turned her back on the mint. The girl was worried that after the bath there was no bad odor left from her. The girl didn't know that she had bruises on her back and he thought it's not because she has an ugly dirty face unlike children. Julius probably thought that her back is just as ugly and dirty. Julius saw all this and told the girl to rest and repeated again that she doesn't have to work here. Her duty is to just be a little princess here and grow up healthy and happy. Felt yesterday the girl was as if in a dream, so she thought that if they open their eyes, she will wake up in the orphanage. However, this did not happen. By the way, today roll herself to complete the entire adoption process, and in the future this place will be her home officially, mistress. The girl was surprised if it was all true. She thought she would at best live as a street dog eating grass. Carrion said that Peppermint has very good hair, just fine, it has such a beautiful emerald color. And definitely lucky because she has such beautiful thick curls. The girl was the first to say that. And always only scolded that her blonde hair was too ugly and tangled. The girl assured the mint that others just envied her, there is nothing you can do about it and there is also a remedy that will gently help to take care of her hair. The girl looked at herself in the mirror. When she looks in the mirror, it feels like she sees a completely different person. Now she has the opportunity to smell good, also every day. And she can wear clothes that are clean and pleasant to her skin. Wearing shoes was a little unusual, but she had never worn them before. The girl walked into the room where it smelled really good, is this month finally. She saw a man sitting at the table who treated her badly. He remembered the girl. Julius told the girl to hurry up and sit down. The man was surprised. Thanks to Julius's light hand, she looked like a little lady. In the future, thanks to his patronage, she would be able to don brighter and maybe even become more popular with the young men. The girl reassured herself everything was fine. Since Mr. Julius is here, he is unlikely to be able to do anything to her. Everything is fine. She thought that the difference in the family mansion will never see him again, but why is he here? The man with a chuckle wondered because the girl is still as shy as she was before. The girl heard that the man had to come to sign papers and documents, but the complete transfer of the child. She hoped while describing the papers his lordship would not want to give her back, one must do everything possible for that. Julius and called the man and for one reason. Since he had been the one who took care of Mint for a long time, he would like to hear more from him. The man said that he knew her very well, as he had mentioned earlier, she was very shy and had no friends at all. She also has a lot of words, and sometimes she is like a fish. The girl remembered how he used to beat her, and so she kept quiet. She had no friends, yes. They were taken away to other families long ago. And she had to be left alone as there were simply no children her age left. The man said she was already 15 years old. Julius was surprised. He thought she was about 11, the girl had already thought she would be sent back to the orphanage because of her age. The lord thought Mint was younger because of her skinny body. That was all enough. Now he would like to hear how things were at the orphanage. The man would tell him what and how things were going at the orphanage, right? After all, that was the reason why he had decided to call him here. Regardless, the food was very appetizing. Only the girl couldn't taste it at all. Julius allowed the girl to go to her room. He needed to talk to the owner of the orphanage alone. She helped again, saying that she would work hard and would definitely come in handy, but if his age was important to him, it was the age that she could not change in any way, even if she wanted to. The man began to apologize for not telling about the girl's age. He was afraid that Julius would refuse to take her, because before him there were many people who refused to take her after learning the truth. Julius disappointed the man. That was not the reason he had such a face, he was just a little surprised. This little girl carried Masha to me, but she looked so fragile for her age. If he had known her age originally, he would have behaved appropriately with her. Julius asked the man for the bruises on Mint's back. When the girl was still in the orphanage, she had no friends at all. It must have been when she messed around with the kids they decided to teach her a lesson that way. And there was also the case of the girl falling down the stairs, but he took her to the doctor right away. Maybe the bruises hadn't fully healed. Julius realized the boy was lying to him. So he asked him if he'd forgotten who he was. Even though he looked so young, he's one of the 5 swordmasters. Then why the hell is he talking such nonsense? Did he think he was so dumb that he couldn't even tell the difference between bruises received by accident and those that appear after a beating? Such bruises can only be inflicted by an adult. Children can't do such things. The man began to justify himself and said to call the doctor from the shelter, he can prove his words. It was no longer necessary. Julius called the servant and those on the plate stood bloody glasses of the doctor. He turned out to be exactly the same scum as the man he owns the orphanage. He should have protected the children and take care of them, but instead he decided to beat them in every possible way. He is already silent about the fact that there are witnesses to their abuse. Without bastards like that, the world would be a much better place. Julia summoned the guards who arrested the man. He is arrested for numerous violations of the laws of the empire. He began to assure Herzin that he was only guilty of taking care of the children, but the guy realized that he was lying. There was plenty of evidence that he had beaten the children, so the man said that he had asked Mint the truth. Julius already knew the truth. When Mint entered the room he saw her shaking, to the point that it was hard for her to just hold the cutlery in her hands, let alone eat. As long as the boy is alive the man will never harm her at this point. The girl was called into the room and told that she had been summoned by his lordship the Archduke. Although it was the first time she had been able to eat steak that looked so good, she didn't remember at all what it was like, but she managed to get a good taste of the hot chocolate. It was so sweet. But unfortunately, she'd rather have to go back and eat slop again. When she came to Julia, she saw that there was food on the table. He had prepared food for her, because she had not eaten anything before. The girl was surprised that the guy did not refuse her. The guy had the papers in his hands where it was written officially that the girl comes to the family Alkydonia. Now she can stay here. She's already been approved. The only thing left is to get a signature from the girl, but until she has one, she can just leave a handprint. Once she has left the imprint she can be considered fully approved. Alkydonia Mint. It's been 2 months and she still can't recover from her nightmares at the shelter. The mistress said she would have class today, so she needs to get up as soon as possible. Mint has stopped dreaming about staying in a wonderful dream forever because now her life has become beautiful, just like in a fairy tale. That girl, who was bullied in every possible way in the orphanage, became her past because the present Mint, the eldest little princess, has a future waiting for her. The girl learned the language, as well as the basics of etiquette, writing, etc. She studied hard for 2 months without a break. Because she really wants to stay, and for that she has to study hard. Her tutor's name was Letna. That's all for now. She thinks it won't be long before she will be able to write, read and learn etiquette. To enter the family name with dignity, one must study very, very hard, and now she has become a member of the family. Her tutor approached her with a proposal. She thinks it would be much better if she would study with someone of her own age, because that way she will be able not only to consolidate the material she has learned, but also to make friends. If of course she does not mind, the tutor would like to introduce her to a lady from another family. This lady is a little princess and they can be friends, but first Mint needs to ask permission from his lordship the Archduke. The boy went into the room. He asked the girl what she wanted to ask. He was always busy, so she didn't often get to see him. It had been quite some time since their last meeting, and she thought he had become much more handsome. Tutoring years on suggested that she introduce the girl to a lady so that she could study more effectively and make a friend. The guy did not forbid her from making any friendships. If she needed anything let her boldly apply. The girl grabbed the guy by the shirt and asked if they would go out to dinner together. The last time they had eaten, she hadn't been able to eat much and had to digest the meal quickly. Maybe if and not with Julius coming over. The boy answered her in the negative. He was busy right now. Carrion asked the girl why she looked so dejected all day. She was upset because Mr. Julius answered her in the negative. He's just used to eating alone. He doesn't like the thought of eating with you at all. Carrion had prepared the girl's tastiest meals ever for mistresses trying so hard to learn. A dream crumpled has come true. Now she lives here. I wonder if she can keep her face clean and become a great man like Julie. But Julie-san never told her why he decided to bring her here after all. This makes her very worried. But right now it's more important to study as much as possible all the time. The butler came into the room and told the girl it was time to take her medicine. And she has to take a special medicine designed for her. Even if she doesn't know it she has to drink it. Mr. Julia said if the girl needs anything, she can go to the butler. But the butler scares her a little. Even though she knows he's a good man. After that horror, all the men started crying. But about Mr. Julius, he doesn't swim with all of them, it's very strange. The mint arrived to visit. It was a little lady. She introduced herself as the second daughter of the Marquis of Tbalion, and it is nice to meet her. The girl thanked her for being welcomed, even though she arrived quite late. As soon as she heard about Peppermint from her tutor, she immediately wanted to meet her. She thought it cool to make a friend her age. She asked if she could just call the girl Mint. She didn't mind. She could just call her Asella. She was pretty as a flower and had such a nice smile. I finally have a friend. The girl said that Mint is now the most famous person in the empire. She thinks that if others found out that she had met Peppermint, they would be jealous of her. After all, everyone was very interested in looking at her. The girl was very curious about where she had lived before and where she came from. Mint asked who was standing behind her. He had been standing there the whole time, but she never introduced him. Maybe he's a bodyguard. He's a pretty low peer to have the right to become a force. That's why the girl decided to make him a bodyguard and take him everywhere with her. Among young girls, it is considered quite fashionable to have a personal bodyguard. He incidentally used to be a slave. But after she saw his beautiful, scarlet eyes, she immediately wanted him. But because of his beautiful eyes the price was high. Mint wondered why she was talking about a man as a thing. Asella assured the girl that if she was also a slave she could be sold for a very high price for her eyes. She thought she would buy her. Peppermint wondered if she could show her anger. You have this situation, the girl is wrong and behaving in a very disgusting way. The girl only waited for an answer from Mint about the rumors that are going on about her. She can't just be Ludina from the shelter, right? Can't for such a person you actually become a member of the Elkidonia family? Mint apologized. She would want to talk about it after they were closer. She had made the right decision. She shouldn't have given in to her emotions, and after all, it was how she presented herself that would determine Mr. Julius's reputation. In honor of the fact that they met, the girl will borrow for a week her bodyguard, let the Mint look at him, if you like it, maybe even sell him. The butler came into the room. The Turkish was worried that a lot of time had passed without him noticing. The Marquis was probably already worried about the girl. She should go home as soon as possible. He would see her off. Thanks to the butler, Mint managed to restrain herself, but will she also restrain herself next time? She offered the bodyguard to sit down and eat cake and hot chocolate. He replied that only little children eat that. But this guy doesn't look like an adult. He's only 15 years old. That's what Mrs. Asella always said. Mint introduced himself, but the guy said he could just be called Bodyguard. The guy's name is Yurion. The butler came back Turkish, asked if Mint wanted to meet Mrs. Asella again. If she didn't want, he could refuse her. It seems that the butler didn't just arrive on time, he heard the whole conversation from the beginning. But I'm still fine with meeting the girl and being friends. The girl was sitting outside, met a bodyguard. She offered to eat cookies to the guy. He replied that a bodyguard is not allowed to eat the same food as a mistress, but she specifically took more so the guy would eat. The girl saw a petal fall from the tree, and it seemed like it was a special petal, so she asked the Yurion to hold out his hand to give him the petal, and he just took it and threw it away. Actually, she wanted to just give the petal for him to throw it away, but because she wanted to give him a gift. A gift. After saying that, the guy quickly ran to the trash to get the petal back. It's a gift, he can't leave it in the trash. Deliver it on a handkerchief. He told the girl that he would treasure it. At first glance it seems that Yurion is very rough and cold, but if you get to know him better, you will realize that he is a very warm and kind person. Mint thinks that if they both met in the orphanage, they could have become friends. The guy asked Mint not to do the work of servants from now on, because she is an aristocrat, so she should enjoy the comforts and give orders. The guy doesn't know that just a month ago she was a person who wasn't even worthy of eating dog food. In that case, the guy should be comfortable with that too. Is it because she is short and will have to make friends of children like her? If she could choose who to be friends with, she would choose with the guy Asella. And if they become friends, the guy can afford to relax and enjoy the comfort, but he assured the girl that he can't become her friend. He seems to be very strict about the boundary between servant and mistress, but maybe he will still agree to dive in with Mint if they get to know each other better. While the boy was in the Asella family, he's been busy being a servant to the mistress 24 hours a day, day and night. So he doesn't even know what his hobbies are. Julius came to the Mint. He was always very busy. He even came in his work clothes. Something happened. He asked Mint if she had eaten. The last time she selfishly asked him to eat with her, he seemed to be very busy. And one can't make a mistake again. Mint said she had eaten with the boy already. It was delicious. They had time to have a wonderful conversation. It was a lot of fun. There was a look of bewilderment on Julius's face. Had she said something wrong? Mr. Julius has such a strange expression on his face. Did she really say what was wrong? Everything seemed to be back to normal. Yurion asked why Mint didn't want to dine with his lordship. But she understood it as a misunderstanding because she had recently asked him to eat with her when he was busy. And she wanted him to worry about her. She wanted to show him that she could handle herself. Isn't that the way the process should be done? Mint took the guy's hand and told him that they would go out for lunch, but to him later when Mint was a princess, she would be sure to tell Yurion that she wanted to be friends. A week later. Asella was very happy that the guys came to their family. Everyone is preparing hard and waiting for Mint. She didn't change a thing. Mint thanked the girl so that she in turn called her to the tea party. Not. It'll be great to change her mind and meet you. That's good. It's not that bad. But the most important thing is that Mint should be very careful not to make Mr. Julia uncomfortable. Regarding their tea party at the mansion, his lordship replied, let her do what she wants. If Mr. Julia told Mint not to go, she wouldn't go. But if she did, the girl noticed that Mr. Julia he and Mint got along very well. The girl suggested going out to the slum where there are a lot of beggar people. Ordering the driver to turn around. The guard asked Mint if she wanted to go there. She said yes. Thinks they'll go and she'll say, this is the place and we'll leave. I don't think it will hurt her. Except. She's tired. Ebel Street. Bandits saw the carriage and tried to attack it, but the knight's bodyguards fought them off and opened up. These knights of the family are the best in the whole empire. It seems they have dealt with all of them. One of the bandits did not notice he snuck up as a horse with a knife stabbing him. The horse in a rage ran. They immediately went after them, but then sharply followed them. Breaks off. There must be at least some traces, thought Julius. They must have wanted to die by his hand. Mint woke up. Next to her sat Yurino. She remembers the carriage strong track. Then the carriage stopped abruptly and a bunch of suspicious people rushed in. They were kidnapped, probably by illegal employers. On the other children who sit next to them realize that they are the most ordinary children. At the market the employers sell commoners. From the way they were kidnapped, it looks like they were kidnapped too. The princess is amazing, Miss Asella, cried so hard she was sent to another place. BTW, Yurion is also very much at peace. The legal slave market doesn't work like that. By law they have to make Arab contracts by personal agreement. If something goes wrong, the government may shrink. She thought she was about to be happy, but I saw a drawing on the wall. It's the pagan crest of the religion of Claism. The Callistas are pagans who have been at war with the empire for over 10 years. Many people died in that war, and Mr. Julius personally destroyed them and put them at the end of the war. The blood of Mr. Julius. She is just saying what she heard in class. Why is something like this reminiscent and ominous scenery? Her heart flutters. A man came into the room and called for Mint. He told the guy to stop because she is unusual. Was surprised when they found a nobleman's carriage in such a place. However, the man hit the lad when the nobles found out she was missing. She was already far away from here. The man had heard from that child Asella that Mint was Elkidonian. That's enough for blackmail. Everyone had been waiting for a long time. They had to thank Yurion that he was trying to protect Mint, because now she would go there. It seemed she wouldn't be able to meet him. The guys greeted the girl with screams. This is the daughter of the avowed families and their organization. Given the blood spilled in the name, by the faithful, blood, they deserve it. This is the perfect. We'll go to beef up with them. Then they will start 1 million on her. 2 million. Someone is giving 3 million. Someone wants to cut her into pieces. Probably the girls are being lied to. And it's clear why. Mr. Julius, who fulfilled it all her dreams. Thank you. She learned about the good people who have given her warm memories, and it's a shame there's no way she can pay them for it all. The girls let's say the last words. She looked directly at the people who were standing opposite her and said that they are all idiots, they are pathetic, who take revenge through the child. Instead of dying like a fool, she will die like a princess. At least she will not hurt the reputation of Mr. Julius. The moment the girl was daggered and wanted to cut off the head, Julius killed the man. He asked me to close my eyes here. The knight started killing people, Mr. Julius, and said to close her eyes. Well, for some reason she felt that she would regret it if she closed her eyes. They took her by the hand and started to express that they will kill her. Julia said that this time Mint should close her eyes. In a moment he grabbed her and took her in his arms. She should take hold of her shoulder and neck. The thing is she said those words because she thought those were her last words. Nevertheless she held up well here. She surprised him. It's a sight that would make her peers faint. It's a very gory scene, but for some reason Peppermint feels like she's seen it somewhere. Her stomach churns. The girl suddenly feels so good, she wants to sleep, but before she does, she has to say that Mr. Julius to take care of the Yurion. The girl was very hot, she had a fever, everyone was very worried about her. The butler blamed everything on himself for not going with the princess. The girl's body is very heavy and she can't say anything. It's amazing that this butler is such a kind person. Why was she always afraid of him? Why are you trading the headmaster again? You dream about him, then that's what you want to her. Her second personality. Come on, you yourself know very well where your place is. That's why you dream about this delicious food, warm in bed, no more body. This kind of happiness doesn't suit her. She knows it's too good for her. She doesn't want to admit it because she keeps blaming the Turkish and the nobles. Well, whose fault is it that she blames everyone and trusts no one? Mint denied it all and said she is happy here. The girl woke up. She didn't catch it was reality or a dream. Her head was spinning, she had to get up, her body felt heavy. Next to her Julia sat next to her and asked her what was wrong. The girl wondered why he was here. The girl's fever had gone down, but it was too early to get up. Mr. Yuri is taking care of her. Julius asked the girl why she was preparing for death and not thinking that he could save her, why she thought she would be abandoned. The girl heard her other self saying there is nothing you can do Mr. Julius, no matter how good you are, there is no point. And it doesn't suit me at all to be a princess. It's more comfortable. Being a princess is hard. And scary. It's a happiness that doesn't suit her. Min just thought she had disappointed Mr. Julius and was scared that only bad thoughts come to mind. It can't be helped Julia said, it's his fault he didn't deserve her trust. She was sweating so much that he would go get another towel. As the girl realizes their family is not small so Julius has enough power to save her. Of course he shouldn't have let her be kidnapped, the girl already wanted to apologize for being kidnapped, but Julius interrupted her. He doesn't know how she lived before she got here, but she needs to remember one thing. Trust the head of the family. He will always come to his man no matter where he is, besides, she is still a child, very little. It's natural for an adult to protect a child. She doesn't understand it, Mint only wanted to be little for Mr. Julius. He didn't seem to understand her. Julius got up and started to leave, saying that the girl still has a lot of time and let her rest. Wait a minute Mint shrieked. She can't sleep until he stays, she is acting like a child again. For some reason when she heard his words, she felt like she could be cranky. The guy agreed only the lullaby will not drink. The girl wanted to hear the guy sing, she didn't seem to be going to sleep judging by her open eyes. The girl hadn't eaten at all while she was sick, he felt how little she weighed. When he lifted her up, if she wants to eat let her go to the butler, if there is anything she wants to ask him for she can do it. And don't let her do anything she doesn't want to do. But what happens if she becomes as cranky and mean as Asella? Min thought. But she's a princess now, how can she properly convey what she thinks? Julius remembered how he didn't want to kill. If the girl doesn't like something, let her say it. She doesn't know at all I don't think of anything. The Lord's hand, heavy and warm, the usual. When it gets quiet, she hears the cries of an owl from afar. That sound used to scare her when she was thrown out returned and had to sleep on the hill. It's amazing that she creates such sounds with her breath, the screeching doesn't bother her anymore. She fell asleep. She walked into the room. Seeing that there wasn't a living spot left on the guy Mint started apologizing for what happened to him because of her. Yurion wants to become an adult sooner then, so he can protect and save Mint when Julia isn't around, because she is good to him, because he wants to be friends with her. When the treatment is over he will go back to Tbilin. Then they probably won't have a chance to meet in the future. The girl asked the guy if he would mind if he stayed with her, he wouldn't mind. Finally the girl showed her feelings to the guy. She can't say goodbye to him she doesn't want to let him go, even to that girl who hurts him. She did everything she could to keep him here. Mr. Julius himself told her, don't do anything you don't like, hence, it seems Julius has been confused lately, right, it seems to be dinner time, and he told the girl to eat when she wants to. When can she hesitate over such trifles, though she was so brave in the face of death? Interesting child. Mint to Mr. Julius with a request for Yurion to live with them. First the girl had to sit down and eat this, Mr. and Julius also like sweets amazing. Julia asked if crumpled Yurion loves her. No replied the girl she doesn't love him, she is just grateful to him for everything in the carriage and prison. He always wanted to save her, she owes him, but if he goes back to his past family, he will be treated badly, hence because of this, she asks Julius to let him here, because he was treated badly by his family. The I told her says what she wants, she reminded him that first day when she came here well, then everything was different she sincerely wants it can she say that, she doesn't even want to think about it, and that Yurion will go back, she would like to stay with this boy, she just wants to be friends with him, anyone who sees this, think that Julius is making fun of her. Well the boy understood her he wants to sleep before dinner so they then go, Yurion then called Yurion, he asked if he could touch his body, he allowed, the boy had a strong body, in the future may become big. When he heals early he will need to train with the immortals, it would be a shame to make him a pro-servant, for the boy is a great honor he thanked. The butler kindly went the man, I told him it was better to answer as it was, the man who was hanging, said he knew nothing he didn't even know the princess was involved, he just went because there was an auction, he knows you can't participate in auctions, but not the Archduke to tell him morally. Julius went into the room and asked the butler to leave he did it himself, Julius cut off his nose, not too much for fate, look at that he can go on like that and keep quiet, after all his god can't betray him. Towards the palace the Marquis arrived, the man who told Asella wipe to, was disguised as a Coleist, if he didn't know that who exactly it was, better replace them all. The next time something like this happens again, the Marquis will take responsibility. So he will replace all his employees. Asella came to the mint to apologize. The mint was waiting for her. She realized that now and don't have to do what she doesn't want to do, after all she is a princess. In fact the girl doesn't understand that it should apologize, a little hurt, but still in the irradiated caught up, right, it's not her fault. But it was her idea to go to the slums, wasn't it? It wasn't her fault that he then took them there, why should she apologize? Well, Peppermint almost died for it. The girl starts making excuses that it wasn't all her fault and that Mint is just trying to blame her, and it's understandable why people go to the Archduke, and Mint is very smart. Isn't she? Or she wants to blame her for Mint taking her servants. Mint wants her to sit back and be patient and watch her take her servants too. She's heartless. She must have even said something to the Duke. All the rumors are gone, so she won't give bodyguards. Mint said that Yurion is not a thing, and she said the guy is unhappy with her. Mint is just trying to protect him. When Mr. Julius told her not to do anything she doesn't like, it must be, he meant don't bend if she thinks her opinion is right. Then she will make sure she doesn't do anything the boy might not like. Jurion's face all the sectarians know now. So Alkydonia will protect him. Mint said that this conversation was pointless, so the girls need to go back. A few months later, Yurion is very happy to have been helpful to the girl. Asella wanted to bring up that she wrote letters to the guy, saying she confesses her love to turn him back, but he ignores them all. The declaration of love is nothing more than words to reconcile, it's just her cowardice. The ball will turn out to be her sincerity because the guy has gotten very pretty all the time since the first meeting, especially that he has grown up. The night regularly make the guy sleep, go him good food. It also became more healthy. More Mint learns the rights of the guy, the more they realize that he is a wonderful person, although he does not like it. She understands the feelings of Asella, however, his mood is deteriorating, so from now on will not mention this girl. The butler came into the room and called the princess is looking for Julius. I have learned to write a little, so I wrote a letter and gave it to the butler. If it is not difficult for him, she would like him to give it to people close to her. The answer cannot write, he will give it. I went to the room. Julius told her to sit down a little. He will soon finish and they will eat. The girl offered to help Julius as he had a lot of papers, and since she has learned to read and write at least a little, she was to help him. The guy decided not to refuse and sat her on a chair. She began to sort the letters. The letters I was again said to be about love. Later when she met Yurion, she would give him something tasty. A love letter. It was much more boring than she thought, so she fell asleep. When the girl woke up, she thought she had slept for about 15 minutes. She fell asleep because she was studying late. It doesn't make any sense. Yulei saw everything when the girl had a light burning by the window. When she sorted the letters, she could immediately realize which one was a love letter. But it's hard to understand all the other letters of letters. What's the use of what she counts? Still doesn't understand the meaning. It seems she needs to study more. She thinks that understand love letters thanks to the book she read yesterday, a love novel. Mint asked the guy how many children he will have, but they were interrupted by a nobleman who brought tea. Asked the girl what they do here, but what she said discussed Mr. Julius's love letters. Soon it will be time to grow up and marry Mr. Julius. All the people who sent these letters care about is power, money, power. Nobles usually marry according to calculation. Of course, a family can come from such a marriage. But it's not in Julius's interest. If you think about it, Mint has never seen Julius's family. His family lives separately. It's enough to lose someone in the family once. Yurion burst into the room and said that there was a visitor, again a messenger from the emperor. Mint was told to follow the butler. When they were trying to leave the room, the messenger came to meet them. He entered the room without permission. The messenger said that the butler should kneel down and apologize to him immediately because they were rude to him. That's probably why Mint is hiding from him, because he looks kind of fucked up. He's glad he came now because he can see Mint's face. Julius appeared in front of the envoy's face. The envoy turned to him, but the envoy said he didn't give him the word to speak, but he kept talking anyway, to which Julius drew his sword and told him which part to start cutting him. The envoy came from the emperor. The emperor's majesty took a closer look at the Mint as she knows he was a conqueror who conquered the western continent and a great emperor who never knew defeat. He tries to make the girl an empress. But his majesty the emperor is 40 years old. From what he knows, the emperor of the empire is a Perdeventa Hismark and this woman. But to the emperor neither age nor gender ever mattered, because this mad monster of an emperor to do whatever is in her favor sues. In fact, the empress had several children. They are her children, a man who has no equal rivals. And for some unknown reason they were dying, one by one. And now there are only 2 left. When Julius was engaged, the empress said nothing to him. Later the engagement was broken off. The empress wants to keep a good bond with Alkydonia. In what way? She decided to take you the place of the lord. Even if she becomes a wife, will it benefit the Empress? Of course, answered the butler. His superiority is friends with you, and the Empress will take you as a hostage, and you miss just Ladina. Maybe she wants to make her scissors her son, nobles, and tries to force them in to give birth to an imperial grandson or granddaughter. There are so many things that do not understand the Mint. Why the Empress is so attached to Alkydonia? Well, there are several reasons where the main reasons are strength and power. No one knows what she is aiming for, but a war broke out on a peaceful continent. It destroyed many countries and brutally killed royalty. Like a hungry beast devouring everyone in its path, she got the entire continent. How come this person has such power? Or did it all come to her because of her power? Mr. Yuri and Peppermint are very different. That kind of talk won't help here. By the way, come to think of it, Asella and that person. Addressed real as you. Butler role is not just a commoner. Accompaniment nice to meet him, his name is Carmine Rodite. Turkish discovered flowers that were under magic. If you inhale these flowers you will fall into vapor hypnosis. Then they started interrogating all the servants in the palace. Mint was walking with a knight in the garden. They were discussing how things were different in Tbilin. There these sectarians have already infiltrated so that they can no longer be counted. It is like burning the nest to insects that have already dispersed. However, we have a completely different situation. There is only need to find the hole through which this insect got in. The Empress wanted to bewitch the girl. There is a great possibility that the person who brought the flowers was also drugged. They can deal with it, analyze so obsessed with our family. Roll told the girl that it was because of power and money, but seeing the butler's introduction was very superficial. The knight offered to explain how things really are. First, power. Does the girl know that the Archduke is the only one of the 5 masters of aura in the entire continent? It's kind of something powerful. He studies energy through a sword of some sort. He can do a lot thanks to his aura, in fact, thanks to his power, and by applying the power in the war, feathers 1. Secondly, money. All because 75% of the spiritual stone mine in the western continent is in Alkydonia. If we omit the details, we can say that it is just a very expensive stone, because it is so rare that a couple centimeters of such a stone is enough to buy a whole castle, and Alkydonia, with its vast wealth from mining, is the family that pays all the taxes. That's why the empire of Aprit is so rich. Anyway, the Archduke's influence is so great that the imperial family wants to establish ties with him. Carrion took the knight aside to talk to him alone. Mint is still surprised that this whole place is so huge, and one would like to think that she would be a special person. If you think about it, Mr. and Julius is a kind man, and he's just raising an orphan. She is very lucky, she always wanted to be special. And now, yes, she realized her feelings from something and became ashamed. She saw a letter lying on the floor. It's Yurion's handwriting. Yes, she is not allowed to enter the room yet, she can only enter the room after the knight make a check in it. So she hid the letter in her pocket and the maid cleaned the room. Mint went into it. The girl thought that if she is ordinary, life with such good people is already unusual. In her life her task is to be grateful for the luck that fell out and yes, giving from her side as much as possible. Sella, she should become a princess, for which no one and will never be ashamed. She always feels snotty after washing in warm water. The letter immediately catches the eye. What about Yurionu? Very beautiful handwriting. When the girl opened the letter and read in the first few lines of the emperor appeared from there. She said, what a good child, what are your favorite flowers? You probably like yellow daffodils. Long ago it was said that the empire lived heavenly dragon who swore to Mara, goddess of light, and this heavenly dragon shone silver and silver. It is this color symbolizes the imperial family. So this person, if there are flowers that Mint wants to get, she should tell her. The empress asked her what her favorite flower. She invites her imperial castle full of flowers. The girl was stupefied and asked to be taken to Julius. She watched from the side her body, she couldn't control what to do. When the girl entered Julius' room he asked what happened. Mint's body began to ask Julius to take her to the empress, but Julius realized that it was not Mint. With his gut he could feel the empress's presence. The girls asked the guy how long he would run from her. He said it would be a meaningless meeting, he can't accept her demand as she wants to take over Alkydonia. Julius said he is not on any side, he no longer wants to get involved in this dirty and unnecessary power struggle. Since the Empress is waging a power struggle against the temple, she needs Mr. Julius for this victory. But why is she trying to drag Lord Julius into it? Moment already there was talk of an engagement and everyone was saying that boy and girl are a beautiful couple. But he friend broke the dumpster and rather he approached her for approval for adoption. Live the guy likes younger girls. The guy did not want to continue a meaningless conversation because the Empress will not get anything from him. So he asked to leave the Mint's body. The Empress agrees that he should marry a girl named Arabella, but that would mean that the crown princess would lose her honor and she would be unhappy. But they need to gain and public trust, so it doesn't matter if we will be happy or not. However, the concern of that girl means that they didn't break up because of a bad relationship, then it would be nice if they now have a contract in words. In exchange for breaking the contract, he risked his life. The guy agreed to the deal. Min thought why he did so, no need to interfere with the childish quarrels of the Empress. The Empress wanted to talk to Mint a little. A person with such power like the Archduke can't live peacefully. Because of this power, many people want to use him for their own purposes, and how many families and people have been killed by this power. The war ended because of, and you think that's all. Taking and raising war orphans like her doesn't change anything. He, in any case, needs to stick with her to gain even more power against common enemies. So don't let Min think it's her fault, she just became the means by which to get to Julius. Julius is a very kind person who values the life of a child like her. If Mr. Julius doesn't want to get into a fight, they should force him to use the word fate. He should finish his contract as soon as possible. The Empress told the guy that Min keep crying and begging to be rescued, need to finish with this contract as soon as possible. Min started to get angry with herself. No matter how she covers her ears, she is so upset that she can't take away the sound she hears. She can't do anything, it's useless, but also will bring inconvenience to the Empress. It would be better if she just died. If we have her almost Mr. Julius at the cost of her life, she would do so. It means she has to save his love with me. She will regret her action, so wait, she will save Mr. Julius. She shouted to the Empress to get away from her body. She saw that behind the girl stands a huge darkness, able to protect Mr. Julius. Mint managed to regain control of her body. But she still felt the Empress value her. Don't know what happened, but this is her chance to win, and the Empress, of course, the pain they will both feel, but it's best to know, you flew this girl. The girl bit her tongue off, she's losing her mind. She is going to die pain before she dies. She should have thanked him for the delicious cocoa that made her sleep well, and again thoughts came into her head, you want to live your life in vain again, even though your owner was in danger because of you, you are such a shameless child. Why she hears these voices even after death is not surprising because she is still alive. As long as she is alive, she always closes her ears and she never sees the light. The girl woke up and there was a butler standing over her. He was very worried about the girl, he wanted to tell her. When Julius first brought her here, he was very worried about her, even though she is shy. Yet she tried very hard to work hard at everything. And she was quite good at it, considering that he would serve her sincerely as the Elkidonia family's butler. I confess it was she who summoned the Empress. The letter was in the crevice of the door and she did not tell anyone about it because it was written by the hand of Yurion. The letter was read by the Empress, she was the one who summoned her. Carrion and Carmine were diligently taking care of her, and Mr. Yuri was in danger because of her. The Empress's summoning was just an accident. If a 15-year-old girl blames herself for not being able to stop the sneaky Empress from taking over the continent, can the butler be angry with the girl? Don't let her think it was her fault, she just got sidetracked. The girl thought she bit her tongue then. But actually she cut it off. They imagined what could happen if he came a little later. I started magic on him and attached the tongue. The girl knew that this type of healing magic is only used by my army, but it seems she heard that mages can't leave the temple. Yulia and went to the Empress. No matter how much he wanted to avoid the meeting here, there was no other choice. He stormed into her room, broke the door down. She was very happy to see him, but it would have been better if the door hadn't been broken down. The Empress has many nicknames: Western Continent, Empress Conqueror, descendant to you of the dragon herself. Well, what happened to her last night? Fearing more from the severed tongue, she ran away. It was funny to watch that sight. The Empress is very happy that she was able to amuse the guy who likes to bring children to tears with this. Naturally, the older she gets, the more afraid of pain. The Empress realized that if the guy came not to kill her, then this girl is still alive. The mage must have saved her from being wounded. Tamer can't use his power, me the temple. It's what they agreed on to maintain the balance of our powers. But he's upset the balance. The girl thinks he's going to have a problem with the temple. Combine their powers and he will be with her, then she will have a chance to win using his power. The guy really is a lover of small children. The Archduke is back, the mint is about to approach him. Although Roll said so she was innocent and just got caught up in the adult quarrels, she remembered the conversation with Mr. Julius. How he saved her from slavery, the words he spoke to her were always brighter than sunlight. Julius began to check the girl's mouth to see if her tongue was still there. The tongue is not even cut off. When tortured it is very sensitive and can go into shock. If it wasn't for magic, maybe she would have died in front of him. First, the girl needs to sit down. Wanted to apologize for reading the spell in the letter and summoning her. She apologized for not trusting him. She thought she was putting him in danger, but after thinking about it, she realized that he would not want to sit here and wait for her to make the oral contract. And just at this moment she has a weak be with you. He was waiting for this moment to get her out of her body. But if the girl didn't do what she did, she just came another time and tried to do it again. On the contrary, it's good that it ended this way, and for the future, even if he made a contract with her, it will be his choice. How can he trust Mint? She just wanted to help in Mint. She thinks that at least in some century she will be useful to someone and help, but she is so useless, that time she didn't help and only hinders. She cannot assess the situation, she just wanted to be recognized. For the life of Mr. Julius she is ready to risk her life and committed this rash act exactly. She wanted to be useful to him, only it is in this, and he is to blame. But the guy doesn't expect anything like that from her. Let her not forget that he chose her, and whatever she is he doesn't want her dead. So cool is not cool. It doesn't matter to him, he will never be disappointed in her. A few hours earlier, the Empress told the knight to stop. He is not well-mannered. He is behaving in front of the Empress. It was his teacher. They are both aura masters. They shouldn't fight in such a place. The Empress didn't want to fight with Julius. The first just wanted to apologize. Well, Julius will only accept an apology when she feels the pain the little girl felt. Then he can accept her apology. She cut her tongue out herself. It was very painful. I had to cut off my tongue. If she still judge me he will not forgive her anymore. And it was so painful that she shed a tear. It would be good if the Archduke is as nice as his teacher. Even if he behaves like that, they in any case cannot miss Julius. But fearing more from cutting off her tongue, she ran away. The Empress suspected that Mint is an unusual child. After the war they can find out more about her. Already found a maid who took the letter to Mint's room, trying not to be seen by anyone. She was obsessed with this thought. It seems to be my Empress. And immediately after delivering the letter she lost her memory. She was found unconscious in the stables. Because she has harmed the family, Julia cannot leave her. She needs to pay her salary and send her home, if necessary. You can describe and recommendations. If you cause all the blame on yourself, you do not need to fight with others. This consumes less energy because in pay attention only to yourself. Well, in the end such people usually start to think that they just need to disappear so that there are no problems. The more you see yourself and learn and think, the bigger the world will become for you. And then it will come confidence. It was as if he wanted to continue his thoughts just like that. Such a strange feeling. The girl. Then the principal came in. Good mood. The girl was left on the street. It was snowing heavily. She saw a cat that was lying on the street also sleeping. She took it to herself and pressed it. She thought that at least someone will not die alone on the street. A girl came up to her and asked why she was hugging a dead kitten. He is already dead. God did not abandon her until the faith is extinguished in their hearts. Their God would never abandon them. I've had such a strange dream for such a long time. It's because it's snowing. She can't sleep. Her back hurts and her legs hurt. Didn't she hurt them? She looked under the plaid and saw that there was blood all over it, called her maid. She congratulated her that her period had started. First of all, menarche itself should be celebrated. Usually it happens earlier, but if the body is not healthy, it can be late. It's good to know that Mint has recovered to some degree. And since she had come to bleed it was like replacing milk teeth just once in a lifetime, she thought. Well, the maid was happy that it would be every month. Mint explained where and how they came from. She kept thinking that babies were sent by goddesses. If a couple sprung and prayed they would be given a child. Didn't it work like that and a big man would come out? Well, still giving birth is normal, but lying like that for days. A bag of warm water, painkillers, tea, a strange pad with several folds, tight pajamas so as not to stain the bed. The maid brought her medicine. They work differently. Parian asked Julius to come flowers for Mint, but what happened now? Flowers in winter. Had to call the priests from the temple. A knight arrived who said that the man from the temple is already waiting, because the last time the violation of the rules is not enough. They finally risked coming here. If they came to sacrifice their lives, one must fulfill their will. Mint woke up from strange sounds. Her maid came into the room. She asked what those sounds were. She just because of it came to me. You must be bored of being alone. So the words brought all sorts of goodies now came to visit. That's such a nice greeting. She will definitely be happy, isn't it? It's good to put away the knives because the smell of iron in the meat is disgusting. He has a couple of lives in reserve, pondered the question Mint how he is not afraid to say such a thing in front of him. This place is so amazing. How many people of interest here. Originally there was a rule to use magic outside the sanctuary, then it turns out that because of the girl Julius brought the magician here. Max asked how they dared to use magic for their own interests without the sanctuary's permission. It's probably the work of such a traitor. If he thought he could get away with it, it resurrected the center to the guys. She realized that it was me most likely because of her, and there was no need to jump out. Julius replied, if she did that, then let her express her opinion. He won't stop her. She said hello to her mother. He was very happy to see them. He is the head mage of the sanctuary, but today he came as a representative of the Empress. His name is Carter Schrade. He hoped for a kind greeting as he plans to stay here. With his paladins, Julius respects them very much as he didn't cut their throats when they came to show his respect, so he is left alone. He gives exactly 3 days. He has time to find what he is looking for. If he has only one life to live, he should listen to him on this territory. Mint wondered why Yule hated them all so much when she kicked the library. Knight began to tell her how it all began when Yule was only 10 years old. The sanctuary had set her eyes on the mines with the spirit stones. And it which emperor longed to get his hands on them all. The father of the current and relations between them deteriorated greatly. One day they received an offer. For the good of their future to improve our relations. And to cement our hopes for a bright future in the forest of Clisty. But the mages from the sanctuary were replaced by mercenary pagans. They know how Julia survived, but his entire family was killed. The forest of Clisty is considered divine. It's forbidden to go there with weapons, and only the court knights have permission to do so. Then yes, the people of the sanctuary planned the whole thing. They were just unlucky, and there's no evidence left. It turns out today Julius even knows the fact he didn't bear his sword in front of them. How excellent he is, like an angel. Yes, answered the knights. He was surprised by that too. It was as if spring had sprung outside. If she had known that, she would never have said hello. What a stupid thing to do. The knight also surprised her, but if you think about it, it was good that she said hello to him. She said so for enemies it sounded threatening. The fact stitched there is another person in the Alkydonia family. I think she meant to say we will not kneel before you, no matter how much you want us to. Mint needs to look at the situation from the outside. When he remembers, the mood turns sour. I should not have met him. This period makes my back ache too. Mint was approached by the head magician. He was pleased to see her here. And it was necessary to control her emotions. It seems that in the morning she was restless to me. Maybe you have a pain in your back. He will cure it or show what a great magician he is. He was ready to show anything. But Mint asked if you can't use magic outside the sanctuary. Yes, confirmed the guy, only he can allow it. Only thanks to only people like him can decide such a question. Why he forbade everyone, but he uses it himself, thought Mint. There is magic that Mint would like to see. All she wants. She asked for magic with disappearance from this house. He annoyed her a lot for some reason.